Hello students, today we are going to start with the new content of English High Language for Standard 10th, that is appreciation of the poem. As we all know, for poetry altogether 10 marks have been allotted, where 5 marks are there for scene poem and 5 marks are there for appreciation. Before it was for 10 marks, but now it has been converted into 5 marks and the content has been reduced while writing the appreciation. So here the main thing what we have to do is, for 10th standard, as it is a higher language, we have to write it in paragraph format only. So whatever the point formats which are given in the digest or in the books and all, it's for just to understand the content. And if you all write it in a point format, you all may lose your marks, or directly you all can get 0 marks there. Okay, if you all write in point format, it is there for lower classes or lower language and all. But now, as for it is for higher language, we have to write it in paragraph format only. So let's move to the content now. Here the first poem which is there, where the mind is without fear. So we have already seen this poem in the scene poem. So let's read it. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arm towards perfection, where the clear streams of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of death habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thoughts and action, into that heaven of freedom, my father, let my country awake. Written by Rabindranath Tagore. This is the poem. This is the first poem. So here the appreciation of this poem. Now, as we all know, now the question will be read the poem, write an appreciation of the poem in about 12 to 15 lines with the help of the following points. Now here the points have been given just to understand which points you have to give here. Okay, so you all, if you all write it in a point format, you all may lose your marks here. So only the points are given just to understand what the points should be covered whenever you are writing the appreciation. For title is half mark, for poet's name is half mark, for rhyme scheme it is 1 mark, for theme central idea 2 mark, and for figure of speech altogether is 1 mark. So altogether 5 marks have been allotted for the appreciation. So let's move. In the poem Where the Mind is Without Fear, the poet Rabindranath Tagore talks about the political, social, educational and economic plight his countrymen find themselves in. So here in this 2 lines only, what he has done, we have covered here 1 mark. Here the name of the poem, half mark, already we have written here, Where the Mind is Without Fear, and the name of the poet, okay, Rabindranath Tagore. So here 1 mark already we have covered, and while writing we are writing in a paragraph format. So here only we have covered the 1 mark, and the next lines which are there, that also from this we are writing about the central idea, what the central idea of the poem is about. So altogether here we can say that 2 to 2.5 mark, or we can say 3 marks have been covered here in this small paragraph only. So here himself in an attempt to seek freedom for them from all these evils, he prays to God. He urges him to create a situation for his countrymen where they would be pulled out from the darkness of slavery, illiteracy, superstitions and discriminations, and lead them on the path of progress with fearlessness and dignity. So here if we cover this many points, you all can get 3 marks. Okay, till now if you all write till here, the central idea of the poem is been covered till here. This poem is a prayer written in free verse. So what is the rhyme scheme here? It's a free verse. So here also 1 mark it is already covered here. The poem is a prayer and it is written in a free verse. The language is simple, but the poet has used a few idealistic expressions like narrow domestic walls, tireless striving, death habits to lend seriousness to his concern and expectation. The poet has used metaphor. So here the figure of speech, what type of figure of speech it is being used here, that the figure has tried to explain here. The poet has used metaphor in the 7th and the 8th line, where he has said the clear streams and the reasons, and dreary desert sand and death habits are the same. And here the poet has created sound effects by beginning the line with the word where. So here mostly all the lines in the poem, if you all see the line this where mostly all these sentences are there, it's starting with the word where. So to create an effect, the poetic effect, the poet has written the poem in such manner. So here again we will see in the poem Where the Mind is Without Fear, the poet Rabindranath Tagore talks about the political, social, educational and economic plight his countrymen find themselves in an attempt to seek freedom for them from all these evils. He prays to God. So here is the prayer. The poem is a prayer and which is being said to God before the independence of India. He asks him to create a situation. So here what he is telling, he is praying to the God to create such a situation that each and every countryman from his country should have a freedom. Not only the freedom of from the British people, but the freedom of education, freedom of speech, freedom of dignity, freedom of honor, all type of freedom he wants to have to his countrymen, where they would be pulled out from the darkness of slavery, illiteracy, superstitions and discriminations, and lead them on the path of progress with fearlessness and dignity. This poem is a prayer written in free verse. So here it's a free verse. Okay, if there is any rhyme scheme, you can write A, B, B and all. But here there is no any rhyme scheme in the poem. There are no any rhyming words at the last ending of the poem. So it's a free verse. The language is simple, but the poet has used a few idiomatic expressions like narrow domestic walls, tireless striving, death habits to lend seriousness to his concern and expectations. The poet has used metaphor. Which type of this is used? So here also you all can explain which the line is there. Okay, any one line you all can take. Okay, where is there? So mostly here repetition is also there. Okay, so here you all can explain one of the line from the whole poem. So metaphor in the 7th and the 8th line, where he has said the clear stream and the reason and dreary desert sand and dead habits are the same. The poet has created sound effects by beginning the lines with the word where. Okay, so this is the appreciation of the poem, first poem, that is Where the Mind is Without Fear. So here, in spite of telling many times, students what they do, they try to write the appreciation in point format. If you write, you are clearly going to lose marks there. So here it's compulsory to write the appreciation in paragraph format only. Okay, so all the points which are there, you all can cover it in 2 to 3 paragraphs, or you all can directly cover 4 to 5 paragraphs, but all the points you all can cover. So for example, the poem's name and the poet's name, you all can cover it in one paragraph. Then you all can come to the next paragraph and start with the central idea. What is the central idea is. Then again afterwards you all can leave the paragraph and come to the next one, and there you all can explain what the rhyme scheme is, and at last you all can explain the figure of speech also with the line and why that figure of speech it is there. You all can explain. So if you write in such way, you all can score good marks here. Let's move to the next one here. All the world's a stage. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merrily players. They have the exit and the entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. His acts being 7 ages, at first the infant mewling and poking in the nurse's arm, then the winning schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face, creeping like snail, unwilling to school, and then the lover, sighing like furnace with a wowful ballad made to his mistress' eyebrow, then a soldier full of strange oaths and beers like the pard, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeks the bubble reputation even in the cannon's mouth, and then the justice in fair round belly with good capon lined, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and model instance, and so he plays his part. The sixth age shifts into the lean and slippery pantaloon with spectacles on nose and pouch on side. His youthful horse, well shaped, a world too wide for his shrunk sank, and his big manly voice turning again towards childish treble pipes and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all that ends this strange eventful history is second childishness and merry oblivion, sand tits, sand eyes, sand taste, sans everything. So here altogether the poet written by William Shakespeare, you are in this poem, all the world's a stage. What William has tried to explain us that the life of the human being which is there, it has been divided into 7 stages, okay, and each stage is here, it's playing different parts. So it starts from the infant, then the schoolboy, then the youth, okay, and then the mature and all, and at last it ends as a old age person, where it is also known as second childishness, where it's at the last it's told that sand teeth, sand eyes, sand taste, sand everything, means here they do not have any taste, they don't have any teeth, they don't have eyes to see properly, they are not able to taste properly, and they are not able to understand each and everything. So it is the second childishness, and after that is the exist of the life, which is also known as the death. Okay, so this type of explanation, this type of concept, the poet William Shakespeare has tried to explain us through his poem. So let's see the appreciation of this poem. So here read the poem again and write an appreciation of the poem in a paragraph format. So in the question also it is already told, again and again they keep on telling that paragraph format you have to write, but still you are not able to write it in paragraph format. So title half mark, poet's name half mark, rhyme scheme 1 mark, theme central idea 2 marks, and figure of speech with the explanation 1 mark. So let's move. The title of the poem is All the World's a Stage, which is written by renowned poet William Shakespeare. There is no rhyme scheme used in the poem as it is a blank verse. So altogether in this small one paragraph we have altogether covered 2 marks here. The name of the poem, All the World's a Stage, then the name of the poet, that is William Shakespeare, and the third one, that is the rhyme scheme of the poem, that is we have already covered, and it's a blank verse. Okay, next one, the central idea of the poem is the parts of humans in their life. The part describes the role of the people at a particular age. So here you all can still explain what are the different parts and all, okay, you all can write which are the different parts of the life, okay, from infant to the old age, and from the birth till the death, what are the parts, you all can still explain them in the central idea. Little bit if you all elaborate the appreciation, then also it will be okay for us. Okay, then the next one which is there, the central idea of the poem is parts of human in their life. The part describes the role of people at a particular age. The figure of speech used in this poem is metaphor, as there is directly comparison between people and actors, and the world is compared to a stage. The poet has also used similes and imageries. So other different also these are there. If you all see the last line, it's a repetition here. So any one you all can explain, any one line you all can explain. And now if you all see the last line here, sand teeth, sand eyes, sand taste, sand everything. Here the line it tells us about the repetition of the word sand, okay, to give the poetic effect. So many words are there. So all together now you have this line, last 5th line, turning again towards childish treble. So here is a alliteration as the sound of T is repeated to give poetic effect. So lot many lines are there, you all can use any one of them. So let's see the appreciation again. The title of the poem is All the World's a Stage, which is written by a renowned poet, William Shakespeare. Okay, renowned means he was a very famous one. So here it's written by a renowned poet, William Shakespeare. There is no rhyme scheme used in this poem, and it is in a blank verse. That's why now if you see this here, if you all see the poem here, there are no in rhyme verse here. Okay, now stage, players, entrance, part, infant, arm, satchel, snail, lovers, ballads, soldier, part, quarrel, reputation, justice. There are no any link of the rhyming verse here. So here the whole poem, it will be considered as free verse, or we can say blank verse. So here lined, cut, instance, ships, pantaloon, side, wide. Now here the only two words are there. Okay, voice, pipe, all, history, oblivion, and everything here. All the words are there is no any rhyme scheme used in this poem. Okay, so this is the appreciation. You all can still elaborate, and you all can still add some more lines in the central idea of this poem. So let's move to the next one. Animals, the third poem, which is Animal. I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and self-contained. So here the Animals poem is written by Walt Whitman, where he wants to live like an animal. Why he wants to live like an animal, that he has explained here in this poem. So here, I stand and look at them long and long. They do not sweat and whine about their conditions. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for their sins. They do not make me sick discussing their duties to God. Not one is dissatisfied, not one is demented with the mania of owning things. Not one kneels to another, nor to his kind that lived thousands of years ago. Not one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. So they show their relation to me, and I accept them. They bring me token of myself. They evince them plainly in their possessions. I wonder where they get those tokens. Did I pass that way huge times ago and negligently drop them? Walt Whitman. So here in this poem, what the writer wants to explain is that whatever the qualities the animals are having, that qualities we have already left behind before lot many generations before. What are the qualities? That the animals are always self-satisfied, they are very much calm, they are very much happy with what they are having. But here with the human being, is not like that. They are always greedy, they are always unsatisfied. If they do any wrong things, they are not able to sleep properly at the night and all. So such types of conditions are there. Okay, but again, there is no any animal that it kneels in front of the other animals for if they are big and all. But it's not here in the human being. Okay, our ancestors who are there, who were the great people and all, for in front of them we keep on kneeling. And if for example, if any great leader or any big person come in our surrounding area and all, we go there and we keep on worshiping then. But here in animals' life, it's not like that. They do not worship each other anytime. Okay, but in a human being, we are doing in such a way. So because all these qualities which are there, the poet is very much impressed by the qualities that the animals are having, and so he wants to live with the animals, and that is the reason that he wants to, if he gets a chance, he wants to live with the animals. So he says in the first line, I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and self-content. Okay, so let's move to the appreciation. Read the poem again and write the appreciation of the poem in a paragraph format with the help of the given points. Okay, so here with the help of the given points they have told here, means what? The points have been given, but do not write it in a point format. Okay, it is already told that write in a paragraph format. So here title half mark, poet half mark, rhyme scheme 1 mark, theme central idea 2 marks, figure of speech 1 mark. So altogether 5 marks are there. So let's see the appreciation. This poem has been written by American poet Walt Whitman in free verse. Now this poem, so here if you write, you have to actually write the name of the poem. This poem Animal has been written by American poet Walt Whitman in free verse. So here in this one line only we have covered 2 marks. This poem, actually here the answer should be written, this poem Animal, the name of the poem is Animal and is written by American poet Walt Whitman, and it is written in a free verse. So here the first 3 poems are all together in a free verse. Since the poem has been written in free verse, it has no rhyme scheme. So here as it is written in a free verse, there is no any rhyme scheme. So here if you see here the whole poem here again, the last words and all mostly if you see are content, long, condition, since, God, with, things, that, ago, earth, them, events, position, token, them, all the words there is no any rhyme scheme in the poem. Okay, there is no any rhyme scheme, poetic effect given in the poem. So here the whole poem will be considered as free verse as there is no any rhyme scheme. So let's see next. The poem Animals is a comparison between animals and humans. Okay, the poem Animals. Now the writer here, it has tried to cover the name of the poem here. The poem Animal is a comparison between animals and humans. It shows how animals are better than humans as their way of expression is better than humans. Okay, how animals are better than human beings, that it's been expressed here in this poem. The poem points out that humans have lost the true meaning of life in this fast-paced life, while animals still enjoy the true beauty of life and nature. Okay, so here the poet wants to tell us that whatever the qualities which are there for living a true and peaceful life, that we the human being have already lost many generations before, but the animals are still having that qualities, and so they are able to enjoy the true beauty of life and nature. Personification, repetition and alliteration are the figure of speech the poet has used largely in the poem. So here these are the figures of speech which have been used in the poem. So here actually you have to explain one of the line also. So let's see. Now if we see one of the line, if we see personification, alliteration and all, now they bring me token of myself, they evince. Okay, so here the sound of T has been repeated again and again to bring poetic effect. So any one line you can explain here. And so here also I think I could turn, so I has been repeated here. So here is a repetition of the word I. Okay, again we can say the first line, again it's the alliteration because the sound of T has been repeated here. I think I could turn, so I think that sound of T has been repeated here. So any one line you all can explain here in this poem. So here let's see again. This poem has been written by American poet Walt Whitman in free verse. Since the poem has been written in free verse, it has no rhyme scheme. The poem Animal is a comparison between animals and humans. It shows how animals are better than humans as their way of expression is better than humans. The poem points out that humans have lost the true meaning of life in this fast-paced life, while animals still enjoy the true beauty of life and nature. Personification, repetition and alliteration are the figure of speech the poet has used largely in the poem. So in the when you are explaining the figure of speech, see that you will explain one of the line also from the poem. Okay, so till now we have seen that we have covered all together 3 poems, and we have already also seen how the appreciation should be written. Okay, again I am telling that in spite of telling many times, still the students, some of the students, they keep on writing the appreciation in point format. But if you write it like that, the one who is going to check your paper, the examiner who is going to check your paper, is going to cut your marks or directly give you 0, because many times the instructions are already given here that see, read the poem again and write the poem write the appreciation of the poem in a paragraph format. Okay, instead of telling, if you are too lazy, see that the question which is been asked here, you should read it carefully. Okay, it has been already told in the question that you should write it in a paragraph format only, but in spite of that, many times when the papers have been checked, whenever I check the papers and all, still the 20 to 30% students, they are still writing it in point format. If you write it like that, you are going to lose your marks there. So here compulsory you have to write it in paragraph format only. Thank you and have a nice day.